युवा देश है। विश्व में हमने युवाओं की आईटी एनर्जी के माध्यम से अपना एक रुतबा खड़ा किया है और भारत इसके बात के लिए गर्व कर सकता है। दुनिया में हम आंख में आंख मिला करके बात कर सकते हैं और ये मेरा साथ मैं हमेशा कहता आया हूं, आईटी प्लस आईटी इज इक्वल टू आईटी। इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी प्लस इंडियन टैलेंट।
Namaskar. Hello and warm welcome all of you at this very significant and important platform of POSHAN Perspectives, a series of webinars on child nutrition. And here we are here with this first edition of POSHAN Perspectives, the first webinar organized by Elets Technomedia with the knowledge partner CMEM Association of India and the publication partners eHealth Magazine and Portal and eGov Magazine and Portal. This first webinar on POSHAN Perspective, which is a series of webinars on child nutrition, this inaugural webinar is happening in a very important month, which is POSHAN Mah, Rashtriya POSHAN Mah. So the theme belongs to this, POSHAN Mah, initiatives on severe acute malnutrition. And we are honored and glad and fortunate to have eminent dignitaries talking on this topic, and not only talking, they are doing great work in their capacity in their fields to fight against severe acute malnutrition. And I welcome all of them here in this first webinar of POSHAN Perspectives on POSHAN Ma initiatives on severe acute malnutrition. I will introduce the eminent speakers first and the panelists, and then we'll start with the special address. So first of all, I welcome and before that, the huge audience is joining us on Avatar, a virtual 3D platform by Elets Technomedia. The audience is watching it live. They have a facility to interact and asking questions, and with a social lounge to in that virtual 3D platform. So I welcome audience also, and I welcome all the eminent speakers and panelists. To start with, Mr. Hemant Kumar Meena, Deputy Secretary of Niti Aayog, Government of India. Welcome, Mr. Hemant Kumar Meena. And I also introduce our inaugural speaker this time, Dr. Manoj Nisari, Advisor, equivalent to Joint Secretary, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. Dr. Manoj, welcome to this very crucial webinar on initiatives on severe acute malnutrition. I also introduce our panelist of this webinar. To start with the moderator, Ms. Dipti Gulati, who is a nutrition and health specialist and has done great work, decades of experience in the field of nutrition and public health. So, Ms. Dipti Gulati, nutrition and public health specialist, welcome, madam, and looking forward to your moderation for the panel discussion. I also welcome Mr. Khurram Nayab, who is head of operations for Project Nandghar, a very renowned project by Vedanta Limited. Welcome, Mr. Khurram, Dr. Khurram. And I also welcome Mr. Ravi Bhatnagar, Director for External Affairs and Partnerships at Reckitt Benckiser. Welcome to him. He'll be sharing his thoughts. And I also welcome Ms. Shilpi Bachalsa, Assistant Manager for Marketing in New Flower Food and Nutrition Private Limited, and a representative of CMEM Association of India here today. So now I introduce you all again to our special addressee from Niti Aayog, Mr. Hemant Kumar Meena. He is Deputy Secretary at Niti Aayog, Government of India. He is an Indian Forest Service officer of 2011 batch and has served in Gachiroli and Amravati districts of Maharashtra as Divisional Forest Officer. During his tenure, Mr. Meena worked with communities for forest resource management, ecotourism, and wildlife management. He has also worked in the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change as Assistant Inspector General of Forest. In this capacity, Mr. Meena was closely involved in the drafting of the National Forest Policy. At present, he is serving as Deputy Secretary to Niti Aayog for Women and Child Development Vertical. Mr. Meena is an engineer and has completed his bachelor degree BTech from a very prestigious IIT Kanpur. So here we request Mr. Hemant Kumar Meena for the special address. Over to you, sir. Sir, you are on mute. If you please unmute yourself.
Thank you very much for this opportunity and for this opportunity. Yes, and this webinar has come at very apt time of Poshan Maah, in which the entire nation has a focus on increasing status of the nutritional status of the children and the women. And in this endeavor, the Government of India has initiated numerous programs, and Government of India has recognized under nutrition as a health priority, and it addresses this in its health policies and the programs. The program has been started since 1975, and it was called Integrated Child Development Services, which is one of the flagship program of the Government of India. And this program is one of the unique and world's largest program for early childhood care and development. And this program now caters to around 10 crore beneficiaries through a network of Anganwadis, which has a strong network of Anganwadis of around 9.9 lakhs. We all aware that first 1,000 days of life of a children is very important, and this is the time period when most of the neural development of the children, brain's development of the children happens. And under this program, the beneficiaries are children in the age of group 0 to 6 years, pregnant women, lactating women. And in order to further strengthen this program, our Prime Minister has launched POSHAN Abhiyan, which has brought malnutrition to the center stage. This POSHAN Abhiyan is a political commitment from the highest level, and it has created a very conducive environment in the country to improve nutrition, with a particular attention on the first 1,000 day window of opportunity. And we at Niti Aayog has been closely involved with this program from conceptualization and monitoring of this POSHAN Abhiyan. And this POSHAN Abhiyan has brought together 18 ministries to synchronize their efforts for addressing direct and underlying determinants of the malnutrition, which include, of course, SAM and MAM. And under this program, a integrated approach has been adopted to target malnutrition. The program is focused on 4 pillars, which are the convergence, information and technology, monitoring, and Jan Andolan. And in this year September Maha, we are celebrating as a Poshan Maha in order to make this program as a Jan Andolan, in which it is ensured that all the services, the coverage of all the services is increased to the last mile. And in this program, it has ensured that mass awareness and a spirited environment should be generated across all the sectors of the government as well as the society. During the Poshan Maah, Jan Andolan promotes knowledge, attitudes and behavior that support optimal breastfeeding, complementary feeding, maternal nutrition and adolescent nutrition to prevent malnutrition, including severe acute malnutrition, moderate acute malnutrition and anemia. Not only the regular phase of the program, during the lockdown also, government has took various initiatives to address the issues related to severe acute malnutrition and moderate acute malnutrition. There are various states which have continued growth monitoring in Anganwadi centers during village health, sanitation and nutrition days, during the home visit, obviously following the COVID protocol. And Maharashtra, for example, Maharashtra, which has ensured visits by Anganwadi workers to SAM and MAM children once a week or once every 2 weeks. Government of India has provided continued support to the state and union territories regularly through the video conferencing webinar on the implementation of various interventions amid COVID-19, which include Anemia Mukt Bharat, newborn care, continuation of the breastfeeding, promotion of IYCF practices, and obviously diarrhea control, which is very important. We have focused on capacity building of the frontline workers during the COVID-19 pandemic, and further there has been establishment of Center of Excellence for SAM, which comprise of national level Center of Excellence as well as state level Center of Excellence for the management of the SAM, and in which we have we have partnered with UNICEF for the management of the SAM management related activities.
I think we have lost connection with Mr. Hemant. I think Mr. Hemant's camera is stuck. Okay, I think yes, some network issue. So the camera of Mr. Hemant Kumar is stuck. I think he is reconnecting. Yeah, Hemant ji, disconnect हो गए थे, please.
अब आपको you can hear me now?
Yes, properly.
So I was saying that during the COVID-19, various Center of Excellences on SAM has been established, and which include national level Center of Excellence as well as the state level Center of Excellence with the partnership of UNICEF, and it has played a very significant role for training, identification and referral of the SAM children, and particularly in the state of Bihar, in the state of Chhattisgarh, in the state of Jharkhand. Various training sessions for particularly focusing on SAM has been conducted, and these Center of Excellences has provided technical support for preparation of the guidelines and training module in Rajasthan also for their project Amma, and support has been provided for the ICDS department of the Bihar as well. And given this, all this effort, Poshan Abhiyan, ICDS, and various initiatives are there, but we believe there is lot to achieve, because recently when we have discussed with our field functionaries and development partners, couple of issues has been raised by them. For example, in India we have a network of nutrition rehabilitation centers, but we found that there is a very poor awareness among people, even Anganwadi workers and the field functionaries, about the NRCs. They have particularly this issue of non-awareness, as well as people don't know how to utilize their services, and how to refer the SAM and MAM children, the critically ill SAM children, to NRCs, and sometimes there are procedural delays for referring the children to the NRCs. And further, NRC itself is a very you can say how to promote in the local language. People do not understand NRC at village level. People they might not be aware of, but we have to change this name into local dialect so that people can easily understand this. And further, since we are publicizing Poshan Abhiyan during Poshan Mah, but at the ground level, there is lot more awareness is required for understanding the concept of the Poshan, the concept of the nutrition, why nutrition is required. And for this, further training of Anganwadi and Ashas and other associated volunteers is required. Diarrhea management, one of the very crucial thing which is required, and we need to disseminate this knowledge, nutrition literacy, in local languages as far as possible. Further, for tackling SAM and MAM, it is the counseling of adolescent girls which plays a very critical role. In some states, for example in UP, we have one project running there in which we have started counseling of adolescent girls regarding the issues which are faced during the pregnancy and after the birth of a children. So at the early stage, this counseling is required for adolescent girls so that they can take the early action with regard to anemia and other vaccination, antenatal checkups, and other things. Mothers group meeting is very helpful for addressing the issues related to breastfeeding, complementary feeding. We have found that they are very across the India. It is a practice of giving honey with water and other things to the newborn, and breastfeeding is not started as soon as a child is born, and which is very critical. The first milk is generally avoided in various cultures, but so this kind of awareness is required not only in Anganwadi workers but also in our health workers, so that they can educate the pregnant women during the antenatal checkups, so they can take care of the early initiation of the breastfeeding and further continue exclusive breastfeeding during the first 6 months and continued breastfeeding for the 2 years. So this is very, very critical for this knowledge, very, very critical for tackling SAM and MAM. Government of India is doing a whole of government approach and whole of society approach for tackling SAM and MAM and other undernutrition related problems. But in order to tackle this problem in a much more holistic way, we have to start early, early, even before the pregnancy. Before the pregnancy, adolescent girl has to be made aware about this. Further, local foods. Local food, there has to be focus on local foods and which are nutrient rich and which can be given to pregnant women, lactating women, and children age of 6 to 36 months uh, for meeting their nutritional needs. So there has to be atlases in which easily available, readily available material for the beneficiaries, in which they can identify the local food required for their daily needs. And now this is a era of technology. There are lots of applications are available on internet for monitoring child growth. So if we can, if Anganwadi workers and especially mothers in the mothers groups meeting are made aware of these apps, and as well as how to enter the details of the circumference of the head and weight and maybe the height, then they can themselves monitor whether the child is growing or not. So these are then a couple of suggestions for which we have to work with our Anganwadi workers and community at large. And at the same time, dissemination of the useful IC material is of critical importance. Niti Aayog has developed one POSHAN portal in which uh, material related to various themes, including breastfeeding, early initiation of the breastfeeding, anemia, the complementary feeding, in about all Indian languages has been
Right.
provided, so that uh, so that which can be used for training of ashas, Anganwadi, and as well as which can be used for the beneficiaries also. Uh, so in the end, I would like to say that government of India is doing lots of effort, but without involvement of the communities, educating them, without support of the development partners, NGO, we cannot reach this huge goal of making India healthy and nourished.
Right.
Thank you all. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much, Hemanji, and thank you for giving us such great insights about how Niti Aayog and Government of India is doing these interventions in portions. And as Dipti ji is doing, I think we should clap for this presentation, for this address of yours. And you also talked about stakeholders. I think all the major stakeholders are here in this platform, and I think we'll take their views also. But before that, I'm very honored to introduce you to here our guest of honor of today, Dr. Manoj Nisari, who is advisor in Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, Joint Secretary equivalent, and apart from that, a great expert of the subject. And if I just give his introduction to all our eminent audience and the panelists present, Dr. Manoj Nisari is advisor for Ayurveda to Ministry of Ayush. He has a rich experience of nearly 3 decades in Ayurvedic academia, clinical practices, policy planning, international cooperation, and public health. Also, he has a wide experience of developing policy documents, programs, white papers, international negotiations, and many more. And many new initiatives for expansion of Ayurveda services and their utilization in public health, etc., are to his credit. Clinically, he specializes in Ayurvedic pain management. Throughout his career, he has worked in different capacities, including joint advisor, director for National Academy of Ayurveda, chief medical officer at Central Government Health Scheme, and many more. Apart from being advisor to the Ayush Ministry, Dr. Nisari is also pursuing PhD in Ayurveda from Maharashtra University of Health Sciences (MUHS) and has submitted the thesis titled "Study on National and International Regulations with Special Reference to promotion of Ayurveda. Dr. Nisari completed his graduation in Ayurveda from R.A. Pudar Medical College, Wali, Mumbai. He did a post-graduation diploma in disaster preparedness and rehabilitation from Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, Delhi, and further did his PG degree from the Institute of Postgraduate Teaching and Research in Ayurveda, Jamnagar. And he is also very renowned for various initiatives, for spearheading various initiatives related to government and related to Ayurveda. Without any wait, I would request Dr. Manoj Nisari to kindly give this special address. Dr. Manoj.
Thank you, Karthik, for this nice introduction. I'm really thankful to Elets and CMAM for giving me this opportunity to speak on the Ayush systems and the initiatives that the ministry has taken for this problem of POSHAN.
So if you click on share, then click on entire
Yeah,
screen.
yeah, I know. I'm just doing.
Yeah. And then click on the screen once.
Screen.
Click on the screen also. Have you clicked on entire screen? Yes, we can see this.
So the presentation can be seen?
Yeah, if you can make it layout, the full screen layout.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Present.
So is it seen?
Yeah. Just
Yes,
in
thank
below,
you.
sir, in below right, if you can click on that button
Hide.
for full view.
Yeah, for me it is actually looking for full view.
Okay, sir, please go ahead.
So as you know that the nutrition and the diet, it is very important to keep ourselves healthy, and this was known to the human being since ages. This has been also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. It says that aham vaishvanaro bhutva praninam deham ashrita. So the Lord says that I am the Agni in the body of all the beings, that is all the living beings, and I actually digest the food. So it is there in the Bhagavad Gita, and the Ayurveda also says that the ahar, that is the diet, the nutrition, the sleep, and the creativity. So this is the tripod of living of our life to being the healthy. And then there are numerous references that how the diet should be there, when to be taken, how to be taken, and it is not only once, but it is to be taken regularly. So the regularity in a good diet, good nutrition is very important to keep ourselves healthy. So there is a lot of description of the nutrition, the what are the various qualities of the food items, what are the medicinal properties of the various vegetables and cereals and pulses, including the various kind of meat and the so different kind of items what have been actually being consumed. So the Ayurveda has given in elaborate the various uses of that, how actually it can be useful to the body, how it can be beneficial to take care of your day-to-day needs, the health problems. At the same time, what the problems can happen if the diet is not taken properly, if the nutrition is not taken properly. And in that, Ayurveda mentions about stunting and wasting, what actually has been discussed nowadays. At the same time, the obesity. So all these factors, so they did exist even in those days also, and they have been elaborated in depth. So I won't go into the details of it, but coming to the recent studies, that is the UNICEF, World Health Organization, and the World Bank. So they did the joint studies on the joint child malnutrition, and they estimated that globally around 22 million children under the age of 5 they are stunted, 6.7% they are wasted, and 5.7 they are overweight. So this is the global scenario, and in this there is the India is not exception. All of you know that in the various parameters, India is way behind, and especially in this hunger We are way behind many other countries. So understanding this, there should be many more the ways how actually we can solve this. And with this, the ministry and the government has taken many initiatives for the basically the preventing the malnutrition, because prevention is the basic thing that we should attempt to, and how actually we can prevent. So though there could be various ways how the malnutrition that manifest about different symptoms in the children depending upon the age and the other things. At the same time, the ways for prevention, they are almost common. So first of all, important is the adequate maternal nutrition before and during the pregnancy. So actually, the this issue of malnutrition, so the care should be taken right before the conception. And this before conception, the process, so that is called in Ayurveda as the pu savan vidhi. So pu savan vidhi, so pu doesn't mean that male, pu means basically the human being. So it is the pu savan vidhi, how the next baby, it can be a healthy baby. So it starts from there. So that's what actually it is mentioned, that it starts before the conception. So before the conception, and then during the pregnancy as well. And when during the pregnancy the care is taken, it is called as Garbhini Paricharya, or it is also called as Supraja, and that is the antenatal care. And then even after the delivery, the breastfeeding, and in the children, optimal breastfeeding for the first 2 years, and the nutritious, diverse, and safe food in the early childhood. So now this is very important, that the food should be very nutritious and it should be diverse. So it should not be a monotonous, that only rice and only wheat. So that is the monotonous. There was a need of the country some 50 years back, that we should the country was starving and we wanted the food, and that led to green revolution. But in this green revolution, the diversity which was there earlier, so that diversity has lost. Now the country is having mainly food, it is either rice or wheat, and that is again causing many problems in India. Now country has taken many initiatives to again reintroduce this diverse kind of food in our food habits. At the same time, the local food habits, they should be taken into consideration, because India is a very vast country. So the food which is acceptable in Punjab, or the food which is acceptable in the Assam or West Bengal, and the food having the acceptability in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, so they are entirely different. So we should have the diverse approach depending upon the states and the acceptability of the various food items. At the same time, the healthy environment, including access to the basic health, the water, hygiene, sanitation, that is also very important, and the physical activity. So that is very, very important. And nowadays, when there are no schooling, especially in this COVID pandemic, even the children, they were not allowed to play outside, so they had no any scope for the physical activity. So this is the mandate. This is the actually scenario that how it should be prevented, and accordingly the ministry has taken various steps. Say for example, the ministry has launched the program called as Supraja, that is the Garbhini Paricharya. We are also taking the care of the school going children under various programs. Then the holistic care of the lactation mother, early care to the malnourished through Ayurvedic intervention, the prompt management of the comorbidities through Ayurveda, promoting local nutrition, food and tradition customs, and the Nutri Gardens, that is the Poshan Vatika. So this is the multi-pronged approach that the ministry has adopted. And in this, though the Ayurveda is the major component which is being implemented, but at the same time, the other components like the Siddha is there, in which is dominant in the Tamil Nadu area or some part of the Kerala. The Unani is being practiced in some part of the country. So like the Sovaripa is being practiced especially in the Ladakh area. So wherever the systems, they are more prevalent, they are accepted. So we have taken the help of those systems, and I would like to share that almost the 80 to 85% of the content of all the Ayush systems, they are identical. So there is not much variation in the system, and that's why it becomes very easy for the Ministry of Ayush to go ahead with this diverse kind of approach. And for this purpose, the ministry collaborated with the Ministry of Women and Child Development. We signed an MOU on the 20th September last year, so almost 1 year back, to create a joint framework for the providing holistic nutritional care for the women and children. And the first important thing is how to create the awareness. So that is very important. And for that purpose, we develop the short videos of 1 to 2 minutes on the Ayush nutrition. I would like to inform you that when we are talking about the various vegetables, so vegetable is not only the cabbage and the cauliflower or the spinach and the other things, but then there are many seasonal the herbs. They are available, herbs and shrubs and the legumes which are used by the communities as food. In due course of time, this knowledge gradually got deteriorated. They do not know about this, but at the same time, there are many medicinal values, there are many nutritional values into it. We have tested with the help of the various laboratories that what are the composition of the various these herbs and plants, and that actually gave the a lot of science behind this concepts, which actually enriched the overall the basket of the nutrition. And then on that basis, we also prepared the composite nutritional guideline and the Ayush dietary advisory for the Kuposhan Mukta Bharat. For these pregnant women, with the help of the All India Institute of Ayurveda, the ministry got developed the Ayush Janani calendar. So this calendar is a very innovative approach, and in this calendar, according to the week of the pregnancy, so there is the advice that what the pregnant woman she should eat, what kind of activity she should take, what kind of yogasana she should do. So we have incorporated the yoga also, we have incorporated the food also, the various kind of vegetables also. So various kind of, at the same time there are guidelines regarding the various recipes, because though the food item could be same, say for example if we are talking about bajra or the rice, but then there could be many various food recipes which are being used by the various communities across the country, and that actually we have to encourage, because there is a lot of science behind these various traditions which are being followed by the community for last thousands of years. So that's why we planted the 110,000 saplings, and for these saplings we identified the specific plants which are to be actually promoted, which have these nutritional values. Nowadays the sahijan or the drumstick, so it is now been discussed quite a lot, and the WHO and the UNICEF, so they have also promoted. So this drumstick is being used in India for quite some time, but at the same time there are many other plants and trees which can be very easily grown in almost all part of the country. So they are being promoted through the Poshan Vatika. We organize various seminars on the Ayush for nutrition, and in this direction we have taken one more step, that for this Ayurveda Day, which will be celebrated on the 2nd November this year, we have taken the theme as Ayush for nutrition. And on every Ayurveda day, we for the whole work we actually work on this particular theme. So this particular nutrition aspect, it will not be only limited for this only Poshan Maha, but then the activities will be throughout the year till next Ayurveda day. So a lot of activities they will be undertaken in this Ayurveda on this Ayush for nutrition through this Ayurveda day, wherein we will also take the cooperation of all the state governments and all the various relevant ministries, including the WCD as well as the Ministry of School Education, for this midday meal program. And this is the one image that you see, that the Honorable Minister for Women and Child Development and the Honorable MOS, and the
Dr.
MOS is
Manoj,
both the. Sorry,
can you please reshare the PPT? We can't
sorry,
see the PPT. Please reshare the PPT.
you are
Yeah,
not able to see this.
yeah, no, no. It was stuck. So please reshare with entire screen, not application window, but entire screen.
Okay,
Please reshare,
yeah, I'll do it.
because there's a you have to click on entire
So
screen.
first I have to see stop screen, and then again
Yeah,
share screen,
entire screen,
entire screen. Okay.
and then click on the screen and then share, sir.
But in this, do you see the presentation?
Yes, sir. We can see the presentation. Now you can go to the presentation, sir.
Okay.
It will be visible. Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Can you see
We
this
can see,
now?
we can see the photos. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So here actually you can, should I show the previous slide also?
You can, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
this
Yeah.
was the previous slide which I wanted to show. I thought that it was visible. Anyway, without wasting much time, I will go to this slide where actually you can see the Honorable Minister and MOS for WCD as well as the MOS is for Ayush as well. And this was the Poshan Vatika which is being developed at the All India Institute of Ayurveda, and the minister is planting the plants. And this action plan is to focus on the nutrition diversity, as I mentioned, the locally accepted food will change to, and not only the locally accepted food, also the change to be adopted according to season, because every year season it has a specific meaning, and that's why there are specific food items which are available during those seasons, and they should be promoted in those season. Say for example, the habit of eating sesame, that is till, is more practiced in the winter season, so accordingly we have to actually promote it. And then there are various nutritional compositions are there in every food item, as well as the various dishes which are prepared out of that. We have also accordingly prepared a list of the various products with having the medicinal values and the nutritional values, and that we have shared with the women and child development, and that can be included in the take-home ration to improve the nutritional status of the children, pregnant women. Say, for example, the PETA, that is the Benincasa hispida. So there is a preparation called as Kushmanda Avleha, which is being used quite widely, especially to improve the weight of the babies as well as to improve the intellect of the babies. Then the draksha valeha, which is prepared out of grapes. So it is a kind of medicated grapes jam, you can say, which is very well tolerated and accepted by the children. The children like it, and the results of the anemia, they are outstanding. I'll show some of the slides in that. So this kind of initiatives that we have taken, and also in cooperation with the Ministry of Food and Public Distribution, Women and Child Development, and the National Institute of Nutrition, the Schedule 2 of the Food Security Act is under amendment to improve the nutrition. So these are the various programs, and as I mentioned, the Supraja under the National Ayush Mission. This all of you then knows that it is a matter of pride that the following India's proposal, the United Nations has declared the year 2023 as the International Year of Millets, and millets is the strength of India, and we are trying to integrate more and more millets. At the same time, we must understand that the hunger or the appetite to digest, so that it means the digestive capacity is also important. No matter how so actually fortification you do with some kind of minerals, no matter how many actually you supplements you give, but if those supplements they are not digested by the child, then they go waste. And that's why, despite of giving this lot of iron and the other various ingredients of folic acid, there is still a lot of anemia is there in the country. And trichotu or the pipali, so these are some of the various common plants which are available. Trichotu is combination of pepper and the ginger, so this is commonly used in Indian cuisine, and they actually improve the bioavailability, they improve the digestive capacity. In the Supraja, we have developed this standard protocol for, actually we got developed, that is the standard protocol for antenatal care. And this standard protocol now is being implemented in project mode in the various part of the country, in various districts. And in this we have taken care that to address or to target the maximum the tribal belt, or those who are actually deprived of the various facilities. So we are trying to provide services over there, and the main intention was that to improve the weight of the baby at the time of birth and to reduce the maternal complication. And the results so far that we have achieved, they are phenomenal. First of all, there is better acceptance to Ayurveda intervention compared to the conventional antenatal care, because many of the Anganwadi workers and the nurses over there, they said that the women, they do actually they carry the iron and folic acid along with them, but they do not eat that, they throw it away. But here the acceptance is very high. The IUGR, that is the intrauterine growth retardation, so this was quite high, that is almost 24% in various parts. And with this Ayurveda intervention, this IUGR has dropped down from 24% to 7.9%. And this is a significant achievement, I would say, because IUGR leads to low birth weight babies, and then they actually the failure to thrive is there. Then there is sort of infant mortality is there. If we are actually able to control IUGR, I think that once actually these various projects they are complete, the results they will show that probably we will be able to significantly reduce the infant mortality rate. At the same time, there is significant improvement in the birth weight of the babies. So only 3.96 babies they were underweight as against the 20% before the intervention. And on an average, the increase in the weight is around 200 grams to 500 grams. So this is again the significant outcome is there. And the oligohydramnion is again a complication which is commonly seen, which is almost 20% in the various communities, and now in this intervention group it is hardly 3.7%. So likewise, there is significant improvements are there with this Ayurveda intervention, and the most important is that the significant reduction in the postpartum hemorrhage. This is also very important because after delivery, many women they get a lot of hemorrhage, and in fact, postpartum hemorrhage is one of the cause for the maternal mortality. So in these cases, there is a significant reduction in the postpartum hemorrhage as well.
Great.
So the antenatal care has a lot of strength, and with this, when these studies they will be completed, I'm sure that we will be able to launch this in the form of a national program throughout the country, which can be integrated in a major way. At the same time, we have also undertaken the various public health initiatives. Say, for example, this iron deficiency anemia, and there's a lot of research has been done, and the various projects they have been implemented under this iron deficiency anemia. One significant result is that the National Institute of Siddha in Tamil Nadu, so they implemented this project on this anemia, wherein the prevalence of anemia could reduce from 69% to 11%. So that is a significant reduction. And with this encouraging and very promising results, now we are also attempting to provide the services to the tribal communities who are having G6PD deficiency or the sickle cell anemia, though we know that they are actually the hereditary or the genetic disorders, but even then their sufferings can be minimized. We hope so. And so for this, we have also started the
Dr.
project.
Manoj, I'll request you to wrap up early so that we have audience questions also.
Sorry?
Sir, I request you to wrap up so that
Yeah.
there are questions from audience also for you.
Okay. So here are there certain findings of the anemia that on the first year in this Belgaum district, the incidence was 30.83 and which reduced to 7.22 years. So these are the various results about the anemia, that how this interventions they were significantly encouraging. These are in the various other areas in the country. And there are some research studies which we had conducted. These are the scientific studies, the clinical trials. The robust study, one is on the Dhatri Loha, which showed the significant improvement in the anemia. And the Punarnova Mandur, so this is another formulation. Dadima, the growth is the ghee prepared made up of the pomegranate. So here it is very safe because the pomegranate dadim, it is also a fruit which is a quite well appreciated by the people. They are consuming it very easily. At the same time, ghee is also. So dadimadi growth is basically a food item, and it can be integrated very well. The results are very outstanding. The Novice Loho is another formulation where actually you can see the significant result is there. And more importantly, there are no any side effects, because usually when the iron tablets are given, they usually call the gastritis, and because of that they cause vomiting. At the same time, they also cause constipation. And when especially in the pregnant women, there is already the pregnancy induced the nausea is there. So that time there is more problem. So these could be the best options instead of the iron tablets. And to conclude, these Ayurvedic interventions are highly effective in improving the nutrition of the children and women. The complication of nutrition, that is stunting, wasting, iron deficiency, anemia, can be effectively treated with a highly significant results and without any side effects. At the same time, it is very necessary to reach to the grassroots level to communicate with them very effectively, and intervention considering the local food habits. So that is very important. The Ayurvedic interventions and medicines, they are greatly accepted by the community compared to the Western drugs, and the yoga intervention play a vital role in improving the general health. So this is the results that we have seen, and we are looking forward for the better and better intervention and the more diverse applications throughout the country. Thank you very much.
That's wonderful, Dr. Manoj Nisari, to see such great Ayurvedic intervention in terms of nutrition for child in our country. Great insights, great to know that. And now we'll be moving on with the panel discussion. And quickly, I'll introduce the moderator and the panelists, and then I'll hand over this panel to the renowned expert of nutrition and public health, Deepti ji. But I just introduce our panelist. First of all, Deepti Gulati ji, who is the nutrition and public health specialist, a very renowned person across the country. She's a nutrition and public health specialist. She has a rich experience of 43 years, and her areas of specialization include nutrition, food fortification, food security, public health, strengthening policy framework, and capacity building. Starting off as a teacher to undergraduates of at the DAV College for Women, Amritsar, to being Deputy Director of National Institute of Public Cooperation and Child Development, Government of India. Ms. Gulati has worked in various important portfolios throughout her career. She also worked as a nutrition specialist with UN World Food Programme (WFP) and as head of programs with Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition. She has been leading the nutrition and food fortification agenda through effective policy advocacy and augmentation of the food industry capacity to undertake staple food fortification. She also led the very important project on community-based management of acute malnutrition (CMAM) in Rajasthan in partnership with National Health Mission Rajasthan, which saved the lives of over 20,000 children. And we are honored to have her here as the moderator. Welcome, madam. But before I hand over to you, I introduce our other panelists also. They are also eminent leaders and eminent achievers in this nutrition sector. Mr. Dr. Khurram Nayab, Head of Operations for Nandghar Project, an award-winning project of Vedanta Limited. He is Head of Operations for Vedanta's flagship CSR project, Nandghar. He has a rich experience in working in the field of sustainability and corporate social responsibility for over 2 decades. For its strategic guidance to business on incorporating CSR and sustainability within their core model, Mr. Nayab was chosen among the top 101 fabulous global CSR leaders by Economic Times Now, ET Now, in February 2019. At Vedanta, he has been instrumental in delivering the company's key CSR programs under women and child development through the project Nandghar, health education, sanitation, and agriculture. He was also instrumental in rolling key government initiatives like Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, Digital India, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, and Skill India. Under his profile, Mr. Nayab has been instrumental in converting 1,700 Anganwadis into Nandghar across 7 states, thereby benefiting over 65,000 children in the age group of 3 to 6 years and over 25,000 women to either become self-employed or employed, thereby earning rupees 7,000 to 10,000 per month. Further, he aims to cover 4,000 Anganwadis into Nandghars across 11 states by the end of March 2022. Salute to you, Khurram Nayab ji, and welcome for being the panelist here. And I also introduce another eminent person who will be discussing here in this discussion, Mr. Ravi Bhatnagar. Mr. Ravi Bhatnagar is the Director of External Affairs and Partnerships at Reckitt Benckiser. And at Reckitt, he leads the External Affairs and Partnerships for South Asia, where the interlinking of the issues of health, hygiene, and nutrition can be seen from close quarters. The focus throughout is on human-centric design thinking or a creative approach to problem solving, which is the key to success of projects in the countries. Mr. Bhatnagar has been a key player in communicating about the effectiveness of the programs and campaigns of Reckitt to senior government officials and to global institutions like UN, World Bank, and WHO. Reckitt's very famous Detol Banega Swasth India program has helped take the message of hand washing into every home. Mr. Bhatnagar is currently involved in taking forward Reckitt's program of health, hygiene, and nutrition to 50% of the aspirational districts in India through partnerships in the realms of technology, coding, and STEM learning. Before joining Reckitt, Mr. Bhatnagar worked in challenging leadership positions in several organizations as Associate Director with Clinton Health Access Initiative, Senior Manager Programs with Population Service International, to name a few. He is also a task force member of FICCI's India Sanitation Coalition and co-chair of SOCHM's Corporate Social Responsibility Committee and an independent director at several eminent boards. Welcome to you, Mr. Ravi Bhatnagar. And our last but not the least, panelist here in this panel discussion. I quickly introduce her to all of you. A young personality, but doing great work. Shilpi Bachalsa, Assistant Manager for Marketing in New Flower Food and Nutrition Private Limited, and representative here from CMAM Association of India. Shilpi has a master's degree in development studies from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. She started her career with the Rajivika, Rajasthan Gramin Ajivika Vikas Parishad, as a young professional working with the government of Rajasthan for regulation and monitoring of women's self-help groups, and she went on to work with other NGOs towards issues of women livelihood and financial inclusion. Currently, she works with New Flower Foods and Nutrition and also represents CMAM Association of India in full capacity. So these are the eminent panelists of this discussion. And here I request Deepti Gulati ji to please take over.
Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be, moderating the session with such eminent speakers. And I must say, our previous speakers were simply superb. And it was so wonderful to hear from our, esteemed speakers from Niti Aayog and from Ayush, Government of India. So everyone wants to get on to Ayurveda, and your session was so enlightening. Thank you so much. And Niti Aayog also put in very succinctly how nutrition issues should be made priority. So I'm here, before we move on to the CMAM, I would like discussions. I would like to make a small presentation on our work in Rajasthan on CMAM. This was one project which is very, very, very close to my heart, because this is something that actually made you feel that you are very lucky if you are able to work with such communities and help such children. So I start with my presentation. Can I request Karthik to,
Yes, ma'am. Deepak, please show Deepti ma'am's presentation on screen. You can go to presentation. Yeah, it is visible here.
Okay. So this was the POSHAN project, which was implemented by the National Health Mission Government of Rajasthan, and it was supported by GAIN, which is Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, UNICEF, ACF, and then Tata Trust joined in the second phase. It is not on. Okay. So as you can see, in the first phase, we had 13 districts, which included 10 high priority districts and 3 tribal districts. We covered 41 blocks, 584 health subcenters, and 1,574 villages. I'm not able to move it myself. Is it that you are sharing it?
No, ma'am, we can see the slides.
No, you can see the slides, but I think it's you who's controlling it. Okay.
No, ma'am.
Anyways, I'm not able. In Rajasthan, when we talked about the POSHAN project, we were very happy with our first phase, and then we initiated the second phase. And as you can see, the comparison in the first phase, we had 13 districts, and in the second phase, we had 20 districts. And as you can see, the statistics, we moved from strength to strength and covered bigger populations and helped children recover well. I think I would like to share it myself, because
yes, ma'am.
Oh.
And we can see this PPT of staircase wala, the phase 1, phase 2.
I can't see my PPTs.
We can see the slides changing now.
You can see, but I can't see. No, this is what I'm saying. I can't see anything.
Okay, you can reshare.
Yeah, I would like to.
Yeah, please.
I just can't see it.
Ma'am, you can open your presentation once again. I think your presentation is closed. If you just open your presentation once, it will show up here.
I'll share again. I'll
Yes,
share
ma'am.
again.
Yes.
Can you see this? Hello? Hello?
No, ma'am, we cannot.
It's very strange. I can see it and you can't see it now?
No. Can we play it at backend, ma'am?
No. I want to do it. If I can't, then I will. See, I'm getting where should I click to get the share?
Ma'am, click on share and then click on entire screen and then click on screen and then share. Click on that screen also.
Can you see now? Can you see now?
No. Yeah. It's appearing now. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think it's taking a little time to start. Just give me a minute. Yes. So
Yeah,
now
sure.
you can see the screen?
Yes, ma'am. Perfect.
Okay. So when we started with this POSHAN project in Rajasthan, we did it in 2 phases. One was from December 2015 to June 2016, and phase 2 was from January 2018 to May 2019. The basic components of this project included selection of districts and blocks, screening and identification, enrollment of children, and then there was a treatment phase of 8 to 10 weeks and a follow-up phase of 16 weeks. In this comprehensive POSHAN approach and integrated management of acute malnutrition, we followed a life cycle approach which focused on critical periods of nutritional vulnerability. The emphasis was on preventing undernutrition as early as possible, ensuring social inclusion of marginalized community groups, enhancing skills, development pathways, and motivation of frontline workers, because that was critical in making this program work. Strengthening the ownership of Panchayati Raj institutions, because after all, children would benefit on a sustained basis only if panchayats at the village level become empowered. There was a convergence between ICDS and National Health Mission at all levels, and this was very, very unique for us to implement the program and show results. And we enabled the families and communities for improved caring practices and demand quality services from ICDS as well as health. When we did the screening and identification, we screened the children using mid-upper arm circumference tape. And then after screening, we identified the SAM children based on weight for height below -3 SD and on a MUAC, that is mid-upper arm circumference tape, at a cutoff of 115 millimeters or 11.5 centimeters. For the enrollment, the children were examined by the block level medical officers. Those with infection, pitting anemia, and poor appetite were referred to the malnutrition treatment centers, something that Mr. Meena was referring to as the nutrition rehabilitation centers or the NRCs. Across India, these treatment centers are either called nutrition rehabilitation centers or the malnutrition treatment centers. And in the first phase, we enrolled 9,640 children from 13 districts. And in the second phase, of course, 386,179 children were they were not enrolled, they were examined, and 10,900 children were enrolled. Here I also want to bring in that even though children were referred to the malnutrition treatment center, the parents did not want their children to be in the malnutrition treatment center for one single reason, that one of the parents had to stay with the child. And if the malnutrition treatment center is even 20 kilometers away or 50 kilometers away, mother has to stay. And if the mother has to stay, then the father also wants to stay. Then what about the children at home? Or even if the mother is staying alone, the entire family back home suffers. So this was the reason people really didn't want to go to the malnutrition treatment centers, though we nudged them, encouraged them to do so. The treatment phase was between 8 to 10 weeks, in which children were given malnutrition treatment kits comprising deworming tablets, antibiotics, and energy-dense nutrition supplements for 8 to 10 weeks. Then there was a weekly review, both at the sub-center for provisioning of this energy-dense nutrition supplement, which is also called the RUTF, which is the ready-to-use therapeutic food. So call it by any name. It gives you food which is energy dense and has micronutrients in sufficient amounts to help the child recover very fast. The follow-up phase was for 16 weeks. There was an individual follow-up at home during the treatment phase, and every 2 to 4 weeks after, the children were recovered for the next subsequent 4 months. So during the treatment phase, children were visited every day, and for the next 4 months, every 2 to 4 weeks, children were visited by the ASHA worker. Mothers were counseled on care and hygiene of children, and there was a monthly individual follow-up at the health sub-center for these children who had recovered. Our results. In the phase 1, total children enrolled for the treatment were 9,640. Cured and discharged were 9,127. Those who defaulted means they stopped coming, they migrated, they didn't want to come. They were about 237. And 245 children did not recover to the level that they were required to recover. And there were 41 deaths. These 41 deaths were due to many reasons, not necessarily due to malnutrition. In phase 2, there were total number of children enrolled were 10,605. Total cured and discharged were 8,249. Defaulted children were 1,089, much larger than the first phase, because that was the time when people were migrating out of Rajasthan in search of jobs and they couldn't leave the children behind. And that is why the recovery rate was also low, which was 985, but the number of deaths were just 15. I would like to share some highlights of the results, which showed that 83% of the total enrolled children who had a MUAC of less than or equal to 11.5, and about 16% children had a MUAC between more than 11.5 but less than 12.5. The average weight gain between 4 to 13 weeks was 5.6 to 6 grams per kg per day. It is less than that gained at the Malnutrition Treatment Center or NRC, but it is physiologically very good, and a continuous weight gain over a longer period of time at a steady pace always helps. So community-based management of acute malnutrition, in fact, helps the children to recover much better than just at the MTCs or the NRCs. This pace of weight gain is similar to that reported across the world. Just about 13% recovered from SAM in 4 weeks. About 88% children recovered from SAM between 8 to 12 weeks, which is the normal time. So we had a recovery rate of 88%. This recovery rate is better than the global standards, and we are very proud of that. Credit goes to National Health Mission Manpower, starting with the mission director, Mr. Naveen Jain, who was simply superb, who provided a lot of guidance and the required push for the health staff to support and implement the program as their own program. The ANMs, the LHVs, the ASHA workers, Anganwadi workers, and the helpers, they all pitched in with their best, which helped to children to recover. So the credit is all due to the National Health Mission Manpower for recovery and follow-up, and to ICDS for maintaining and sustaining gains. It is very easy to make a sick child recover, but to ensure that that child does not fall back into the trap of malnutrition, that is done by the Anganwadi workers at the Anganwadi center, because it is the Anganwadi worker who's in constant touch with the mothers, and the Anganwadi workers did a superb job so that the children maintained and sustained their gains. The highlights of the project implementation include that this project was based on WHO's DOTS strategy, that is directly observed treatment short course, which was the WHO's tuberculosis control strategy. It comprised 5 components, which include government commitment and high political will. The then Honorable Chief Minister of the state committed that she will provide all support, and in fact, it was at her behest that we had the second phase of CMAM. Fund allocation and stakeholders engagement through an MOU was done by the National Health Mission. Then there was case detection using mid-upper arm circumference tape, anthropometric indicators, infections, pitting edema and appetite test, management of SAM based on global protocols, that is first administering the albendazole tablet for deworming, then providing a 5-day course of amoxicillin for removing or curing any infections that may be there, and then providing energy dense nutrition supplement. And I'm honestly telling you, this energy dense nutrition supplement did the trick, because children were dewormed, children were free of infections, but this supplement provided them a concentrated source of energy. So when the child has to consume small quantities which give a lot of energy and nutrition to the child, children recover very fast. Then there was a very strong case follow-up at the health center as well as at home. There was a very strong management information system that was put in place, which recorded the data for each and every child, even in the remotest village, and did the impact assessment. Then it was very important to build the consensus, because we were implementing a program which no one had done at a scale that it was being done in Rajasthan. There have been cases of CMAM program in Maharashtra, in Gujarat, in many other places also, but they were on a very, very small scale. Here we were doing it at 20 districts, having lakhs of children screened and thousands of children enrolled. So it required building consensus through multi-stakeholders technical advisory committee. In this technical advisory committee, we had people from academia, we had from the universities across Rajasthan, from NGOs, from the Department of Health, Department of ICDS, Women and Child Development. So it was and then renowned pediatricians were part of this technical advisory committee. Since this program was implemented as an additional work for the health functionaries, for the ICDS functionaries, we incentivize the manpower based on the results. Like if they visited homes, we gave them incentive. When they treated children, we gave them incentive. When they counseled the mothers, we gave them incentives. But the biggest success was that there was no stock out of energy dense nutrition supplement at any health subcenter, and there was a perfect supply chain maintained. And that's thanks to the three major companies, which is Compact, Hexagon Nutrition, and New Flour, which are now part of the CMAM association. So they ensured, and it was the procurement of EDNS was done through a proper tender. All the manufacturing units participated, and all were given due share to cover different districts. And they ensured that the quality of EDNS was perfect and there was no stock out. And thank you so much, CMAM Association, for this. In this POSHAN project, let's see what worked. There was a very strong political commitment. There was very strong bureaucratic wisdom to adopt DOTS strategy. There was very strong committed partnerships. We were 4 agencies working on CMAM, that is GAIN, ACF, UNICEF, and Tata Trust. Believe it or not, there were no ego clashes. There were no agency clashes. There was no tussle to gain popularity or to get visibility. And that made the program very unique and this partnership very, very valuable. There was very effective management which focused on transparency and efficiency. So we had a MIS system, a online portal. Anyone could go see and cross check and back check because there were enough data linked to the cards which individual child had, so that no one could say that the data was manipulated or fudged. In addition, we also felt that it was very important to have an independent validation, because we may say that we did a great job, but how do people perceive it? So we engaged Indian Institute of Health Management Research, IHMR, to conduct an independent validation which covered 10% of the total enrolled children. And after 4 months of follow-up, they showed that a majority of children who had recovered, they did not slip back. And this has been our biggest success. This perhaps can be attributed to the active engagement with the